friends, Frogopolis here, and there's a lot of movies on Tubi. I mean, a lot of movies. And I like to look around it sometimes and see what's on there. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it at least funny? Let's find out together in this new series of mine. Our first movie is called We Found Something. This movie starts with a man named Jeremiah telling us that he found some creepy footage while going on a hike, and that he's gonna edit it together to show us. And it's about a brother and sister, Ted and Maxie, who go out documenting their rock climbing expedition. And the sister has a secret. What are these secrets? What other twists and turns will there be? Well, we're gonna have to wait to find out, because they have to drive there first. And while they're driving there, they're gonna bicker at each other and have awkward conversations.
No, I just mean you're not doing it for me personally. Like, you're just not doing it for me.
You're my brother, so I hope I'm not doing it for you.
Alright, that's fair.
Oh no, don't start eating a banana! Ted and Maxie have actually been climbing before, but we find out that there was some sort of incident that caused Ted to have a fear of heights from then on. Thankfully, Maxie is experienced and has actually been to that area before. Remember this will be important. Our first sign of things maybe not being right is the fact that an ambulance zooms by, and that should be their first warning, but maybe it's a coincidence. But then when they get there, they see it at this caution tape all over the place, and yeah, it's been taken down, but they probably shouldn't cross it. And Maxie, having a brain, says, hey, there's caution tape here, we should probably just go home and come back later. Ted doesn't care about any caution tape though, and it's not like there's anyone around, so he's gonna go in anyway, and Maxine follows him so he won't die. Further bickering ensues. I hope you like that word, cause it's gonna happen a lot in this movie. They get to their destination and start getting ready to rock climb. And here we get what I think is the best scene of the movie, where Ted goes to climb and then has a panic attack. He sells it pretty well, and it's a shame the rest of the movie isn't about him trying to get over this fear while something paranormal or maybe a monster tries to fuck with him. Then what is this movie about? What's the big scary thing? We're gonna find out very soon. So Ted's obviously upset that he panicked because he's trying to get over his fears, and his sister's trying to comfort him, and they start heading back to the car. But then Ted sees something. He sees that one of the cast from Cats has gotten loose and gone feral. It's very sad, and it happens more often than you think. Ted makes the second of several baffling decisions in this movie by chasing after Rum Tum Tiger, but it gets away before it can get closer, and they see that it's been eating a bird. So now they have this great footage of this weird new creature they found, and they go home and Ted has this great idea that they're gonna go back and document it. And once again, Maxine's gonna have to go with him so he doesn't die. This seems to be a regular occurrence between the two. I'm gonna save you time and myself time by this saying, yes, there's more bickering. We don't have to see it. They argue about how Ted's being dumb and how he shouldn't be doing this, but Ted is like, what if we get it on camera, we'll be famous. So there, that's what they say. So they get there, they look around for the monster, and they don't find him, but they do find a tent. Whoa, that wasn't there before. And uh-oh, inside the tent is a dead body. Wait, never mind, she's okay. She's standing up, and oh no, Slim Jims are coming out of her. And they freak out and they run away. So they get back to the car, and one of them had taken her phone when they still thought she was dead, so they could try to find out who she was, and I guess this kept it after finding out she was alive. Don't worry about it. Now, they don't have reception here because they're in the middle of nowhere, but they could drive to a place where they do. That would take time and effort. So instead, they're going to go into her phone and look through her videos to find out what happened to her. And lucky for them, this woman was filming her vlog for her camping challenge. And she is woefully unprepared to go camping on her own. She's already letting the heat get to her as we see her yelling at somebody who's clearly not there. And then she goes to go start camping, but there's some pesky caution tape in the way. And you know what? We're supposed to enjoy nature. So she does what anyone would do. She tears down that caution tape and she goes in anyway. She does eventually get her tent set up and she goes to sleep for the night, but then hears strange noises. And everyone knows from camping tips that if you ever hear strange noises in the middle of the night around your tent, you unzip your tent and poke your head out to see what it is. And she gets attacked by a creature guy. Now that they've seen this, and now that the adrenaline is worn off, they realize that they could have helped her, and Ted insists on going back so they can bring her to the hospital. So Ted and Maxie go back to the tent, but oh no, she's disappeared. What could have happened? Oh my god, it's Rum Tum Tiger and he's back for round 2. Of course, Ted runs after the monster, and here we get text from Jeremiah telling us that footage got corrupted for several hours. He goes to a point where the footage isn't corrupted, and we see that for whatever reason, Ted and Maxie are still there. What were they doing all this time? It didn't look like it was that late in the day when Ted started chasing after it. What? You know what? It's fine. It's fine. Let's keep going. So they find a spooky murder shack that I guess the monster lives in. And all they see is a severed hand, so I guess she got ate. But then the monster shows up, and we get a closer look at how it looks. And yeah, I mean, close enough. They narrowly escape with their lives and make their way back to the car, and they're about to leave, but unfortunately they find out that they dropped the keys while they were running away. Wow, these two just can't catch a break. Well, I guess I'll have to go back and get those car keys. And this is also where we get to learn Maxie's big secret. Now, this whole time, Ted has been talking about how his relationship's a bit on the rocks, but he wants to propose to his loving girlfriend. In fact, one of the reasons he went on this trip to get over this fear was to impress her, even though she didn't really need it. But Maxie tells Ted that she's been having an affair with his girlfriend this whole time. That's quite the shocker to old Ted here, but let's be honest, this girlfriend can probably do better than both, maybe find someone with better survival skills. They go back and get the keys, but uh-oh, Rum Tum Tugger's back, and he's not feeling very jellicle right now. So we get more chasing and screaming, and then they get separated, and while Maxie's on her own, she thinks she can hear the road, so she starts heading towards it. Jeremiah cuts it again, and says that this next part is super disturbing, and he's not sure if he wants to show us. He's given us all the trigger warnings. But then, he shows us anyway, because we have to know the truth. Ted and Maxie find each other again, but Tugger attacks Ted and this starts ripping him apart. They had come across a trailer, but it seems to be empty. Maxie is just yelling for help, and someone comes out of it. It's Jeremiah! And here's where we get our next big twist. Jeremiah and the monster are in cahoots. And the monster's called Russell. So here we get Jeremiah's anime villain monologue where he explains that Russell roams the land for him and kills people on his property because he doesn't like it when strangers trespass and make noise and litter. And not to insult Russell, but I don't think he's very good at his job because not only did it take him hours to finally get Maxie and Ted, but Maxie's been to that area before. But you know what? Maybe Jeremiah and Russell were on vacation those days. Also, the screen cap right now looks like they're about to drop the hottest mixtape. And then Ted and Maxie die. They just never stood a chance. There was never any time where they could have avoided any of this. And that's the end of We Found Something. They sure did.
I feel like you can use that in other contexts. Like, this movie isn't doing it for me, or this... Okay, whatever.
Next up, we have Requiem for a Scream! I mean, this video is titled Tubi Time, so I have to at least look at one Tubi original. Admittingly, I picked this one not only for the title, but also for the goofy mask. I kept waiting for it to bust out into a YouTube sketch. The movie starts off rather promisingly with a pretty creepy scene where two poor souls are strapped in the chairs, and the woman is forced to hit certain notes or else the man is punished. Good stuff. Personally, I'm all for American Idol's new direction. Is American Idol still a thing? I don't know, I'm old. Unfortunately, our murderer is not down with that dog and ends up killing the man. Jeez, and I thought Simon Cowell was rough. I'm probably aging my video poorly with these timely references, but you know what? I don't care. We also see during a struggle that an SD card falls off the table, and I'm sure this will be important later. We get our title card, and then we see two young ladies driving off to a luxury cabin for a weekend of fun. This is Artemis and Shira. Artemis just wants to avoid her nagging father for a weekend, because all he wants her to do is sing, but she doesn't want to sing. She wants to be her own woman. Her dad thinks she's at auditions, but she lied. She's going to her luxury cabin with her friend so she can spread her dead sister's ashes, because that's where they had their fondest memory. But what's going to happen when he finds out, and what other troubles might come up? Keep watching on Requiem for a Scream on the W Network. Wait, shit, what are we watching again? Oh, right, this is a horror movie. See, it's a horror movie. There's a creepy guy in a van. There's a couple he's probably gonna kill. Okay, we're good. We get back to the girls and they've made it to the cabin. And they're just talking about life, their aspirations, and we have a cleaning montage. We have some tonal whiplash going on, and the montage music they play is probably some royalty-free music, but you know when you're watching a car commercial and they're singing about how great the days of summer are, and then there's the backup singers going like, whoa, oh, 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 oh. Yeah, it's that song. Whatever band and song you're thinking about, it's that song. The cleaning montage stops when they find a mysterious SD card. Uh-oh, they were in the murder house! Oh no! They do what anyone would do, and they take this mystery SD card and stick it straight into their laptop.
What do you think's on it? I have no idea. Ooh, what if it's your parents' sex tape? Ew! God, trust me, it's not a sex tape. Holy shit, it is a sex tape!
But they find out it's password encrypted, so they're not going to be able to find out what's on it. But that's not important right now. What's important is that they're going to party hard, and they've invited friends. But Shira also invited Alex, and Artemis doesn't like Alex, so there's going to be drama. One of the guys brought a fancy homemade satellite so they can get reception, and he has to put the satellite on the roof and it lets them use the internet and make calls. So that's kind of cool. It's also a very clever way to get by the whole, oh no, we have no reception thing. And everything's going pretty great, but then Alex shows up and ruins everything. A lot of this is over petty high school drama, and they start, say it with me, bickering. Do you want to go back to Murder Man in his murder van? Let's do that. He makes music by recording the screams of his murder victims and putting it together with classical music. I know there's already a murderer that does this in Dead by Daylight, but I like to think this guy's the true innovator. And he's just jamming out until he realizes that one of his SD cards are missing, and this gets him real mad. And then in the one genuinely terrifying scene of the movie, he just brutally kills the couple he kidnapped. Oh man. So he goes back to his murder house, and we see that there's a bunch of goddamn young adults in there having a good time, and he hates that, so he's gonna do something about it. Oh, wait, no, one more important thing. While they're partying, Artemis knocks over a coffee tin that happened to have Artemis's sister's ashes in there, and that causes an argument. Just thought I'd let you know that. I'd imagine the importance of the coffee tin and the ashes would be the first thing she tells everyone when they arrive, but I don't know, they're all pretty blottoed at this point. So this argument stresses Shira out, so she goes out for a smoke, and while she's out there having a smoke, the murderer comes by and attacks her. So now she's bleeding out, and she's just pounding on the screen door trying to get their attention, and they notice her and they carry her in. Here's where one of them suggests that she may have been attacked by an animal. and then soon after she dies. And they find out that she has a walkie-talkie on her body. The killer also has a walkie-talkie, and he uses it to taunt them. So there's another point for creativity. The murderer this wants his SD card back, but considering this murdered their friend, and the SD card is full of evidence, I don't think they're just going to do that all willy-nilly. Things aren't looking good for our party people, but they have a plan. They're gonna call the police. But uh-oh, the satellite signal isn't working. You see, that satellite the guy brought was a pretty handy idea, but still faulty. So now he has to go on the roof and repair it, so then they can call the police. And he's gonna need help, so 2 of them go upstairs to do that, while the other 2 set up a distraction. They take one of their phones and they start playing loud noises on it, and they fling it out the back door. It helps to distract the killer, while they tie a rope around the guy upstairs, and he goes on top of the roof to repair the satellite. The killer can see everything, at least from the front of the house, so I'm not sure how this is going to work out for them, but miraculously, the killer decides to go towards the noise instead of keeping an eye on the guy he can probably see on the roof. I don't know. Maybe he's not the smartest. So everything's going pretty great until the guy slips off the roof, and of course he had a rope around him, so now he's just dangling there, and the other people open the door to go help him, and the killer's there, and he kills him. Oh hey, look, he's also full of Slim Jims. Now there's only 3 of them left, and they've got to put their noggins together to survive the night. And they realize that the killer keeps touching his head, and he's doing that because he has a little receiver in there for the walkie-talkies. So what they do is they put their walkie-talkie all the way up, and then make a loud screeching noise out of it. And that incapacitates him long enough that Artemis can go run for help. So Artemis is just running through the forest trying to find anybody, and she comes across the murder van, and she decides to go into the murder van because that's what you do. She finds all these documents that hint that the killer actually has an identity that she's familiar with, and she also finds the 2 dead people from earlier. But before she can start piecing this all together, the killer comes back and he's a little loopy. She hides in the trailer until he leaves, and then she makes a run for it. She's hiding from him, but then steps in a bear trap. Now that might seem random, but they actually referenced bear traps earlier in the movie, so I guess they're just lying around. I presumed it was him that put them around, but when she's stuck in the bear trap, he goes up to her, helps her out of it, and then she kicks him in the groin and runs? So I guess he wanted to catch her himself, and the bear traps were some happy accident? I don't know. It's a very strange scene. Then she's eventually caught when she tries to hide again, but he doesn't kill her. Now, the B-plot to this film is that the father has been slowly figuring out that his daughter didn't actually go to auditions and went to the cabin of friends, and that she had brought her sister's ashes with him. And he finds out that she replaced the ashes by tasting them.
What's wrong with you?
Did you know about this?
Know about what?
Your daughter replaced Emily's ashes with goddamn brownie mix.
What?
So after that old switcheroo, the dad makes his way to his cabin and sees that it's just Alex and Declan. Oh, yeah, that's his name. Yeah, Declan, and the guy who died was Theo. See, I remember. And they have a lot of explaining to do since there's a dead body on the couch and everything's all messed up. But just before they can start explaining, a policeman shows up. What luck! But they're awfully suspicious of this police officer because the call got cut off after only a few seconds, but maybe they're able to trace it in those few seconds. Then the cop says, "Hey, can I have that SD card with my sweet mixtape on it?" And, wouldn't you know it, it's the killer. I was trying to pinpoint who this actor was while watching the movie, and when I looked up the film afterwards, I realized it was Michael X. Sommers, who was in Sense8, which is a great show. Unsurprisingly, he is the best actor in this whole movie and the highlight. He gets found out pretty quickly and ends up killing Declan, and Alex bolts right out of there. He then attacks the dad and kidnaps him too. Now we see that the father and daughter have been tied up, much like the two people from the beginning of the movie. We also find out the name of the killer is Celeb, and he's great and far too good for this movie. We learn more about Celeb and find out the reason he didn't kill Artemis and Thomas is because he knows them and that he's been stalking them for years. We find out their family had brought out the land years ago and it displaced Celeb and the rest of his family, pretty much ruining his life. That, mixed with an abusive upbringing, made him a murderer, I guess? Not really huge on that cliche, but you know what? He sells it well enough that we'll let it slide. So now it's Artemis's turn to wow the judges, and will she get on to the next round? It's also in this moment that the dad realizes that, wait, maybe my daughter doesn't want to be a singer. Maybe it's my fault we're in this predicament, which, I mean, kind of, I guess. So we get a bit of a repeat of before where she has to hit certain notes, but eventually the dad just causes a distraction and she breaks free and makes a run for it. While she's running away, we find out that Alex just died somehow. I guess she tripped and fell into this trap. Well, later, Alex. So Celeb runs after her, and they get into a fight, and it looks like Celeb kills her, puts a knife right into her chest. And I guess he won. He goes back to his van. He does see police sirens because I guess someone eventually got the message, but they drive right by him and it looks like he's gonna get away scot-free. But then Artemis comes with a shotgun and has her one-liner. And then the movie ends. And I've got to say, it wasn't that bad. I mean, the first half was not great, but Michael Summers really brought it up to another level because he is a very entertaining actor. Unfortunately, you have to sit through a lot of teen drama crap to get there, but I don't know, I had fun with it. I hope he gets more work in other films and TV shows. Heck, even Cassandra Serbo, who played Artemis, really picks up near the end, and it's a shame she didn't really have that much strength from the beginning, but what are you gonna do? They're working with what they had. The last movie I'd like to talk about today is called The Stream. The Stream follows a woman being haunted by the traumatic death of her husband and her son. One of the reasons I started this series, besides finding some silly movies and making some jokes, is to also highlight lesser known films, and this is one of them. I think The Stream is a hidden gem that I highly recommend watching. Despite its simple premise, it goes in places that surprised me and does a lot with a small budget. I also like how it's shot, and while it's a little slow to start, I think it's well worth the watch through. It's also a brisk 57 minutes, so really, if you're worried about time, you got it. I know it feels like a cop-out that I'm not going to really talk about the movie, but due to its abstract nature and surprises, I'd rather you experience it on your own. I'll be linking each movie I talked about today in the description below. And if you know of any hidden gems or even just fun movies, please let me know and I'd be happy to watch them and talk about them. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed watching this, maybe like and subscribe or leave a little comment. If anything, I'm just glad you stopped by. Have a great day. Bye.